MedicineX. I'm Craig Lipset. I work at Pfizer, and I look after innovation in clinical trials at Pfizer. And we have several hundred clinical trials ongoing any day of the week throughout the year. The cornerstone of every one of those clinical trials is the same. There's a clinical trial protocol that's developed. And there has been an amazing transformation in how that protocol is being developed today than even just 2 or 3 short years ago. And that change is something that I'm starting to think about as everyone included in protocol development. Because that transformation has been incorporating the voice of the patient into the design of our studies, not just in rare diseases where it kind of took off, but seeing that extend across our portfolio, seeing that turn into business as usual for how clinical trial protocols are developed. And whether that's engaging patients through advisory boards, whether that's engaging with advocacy, protocol simulations, there are lots of ways that people are doing it. But the exciting thing is that when people are doing it, something changes. There's something different as a result of that engagement. And that's not just a phenomenon at Pfizer. We're seeing that across the landscape of other progressive peer pharmaceutical companies. Now, at the other end of that clinical trial is a set of what we in the corporate world think of as deliverables. It might be publications, study results, clinical reports, data. What we're now starting to see is, what is the expectation, what is the deliverable that needs to be thought of for the patient? That same spirit and thinking of everyone included translated to the deliverables at the end of a study. Because at Pfizer, we're committed to publishing, and the results of our studies for any trial involving human participants, not that guy on the screen, but the humans, we're committed to publishing all of those studies, and we post them. But that doesn't mean they're accessible to patients. That doesn't mean they're accessible in terms of the language that's used for the papers. That doesn't mean they're accessible in terms of the journals where they're published. And so in 2013, we made a commitment that we were going to make available patient-friendly summaries of all study results and make sure that we have a mechanism to get them back into the hands of the patients who participated in those studies. But there is an asterisk. That's in countries where we're legally allowed to do that. Because believe it or not, there are some countries where that's still pretty ambiguous. Fortunately, over the next few years, we're going to see that turn into a legal requirement in places like Europe. Study results are just the tip of the iceberg, though, in terms of making sure a patient can learn what we're learning from the study in which they participated. Because the other tip of that is their own electronic individual data. At Pfizer in 2013 also, we started to experiment with returning individual study results back to the patients who participated in a trial. We started to experiment with the ability for patients to download their data when their trial completed. We were using the blue button format for that because, quite honestly, we weren't sure otherwise how to get it back to patients in a way that they would be able to do something with it. It's an experiment. It's still something we're learning from, but we're committed to that space. We've recently published together with the Harvard MRCT, the Multi-Regional Clinical Trial Center at Harvard, a set of principles around sharing and returning individual patient results to participants in research studies. In fact, those principles are posted online at mrctcenter.org, and they're available for public comment right now. So, well, not right now. Don't start looking down and downloading it. You can do that during the next break. The reason we have that available for comment, and the reason that we're still learning from this, is because sharing data back with research participants is hard. When patients see their data, things change. They're supposed to change. Otherwise, we wouldn't be wearing Fitbits and Apple Watches right now. We believe that when patients are exposed to their data, something about them changes, their outcomes may change. And so the timing of when we return those results back to patients matters. Our trials involve some conventional data that we capture. There's also a lot of exploratory data that, quite honestly, it was exploratory in the protocol. We're not quite sure how to interpret it yet. And so how do we return that in a way that's meaningful and in a space where it's still science? So we want to learn from this. We are looking forward to comments that folks may share. I'm excited to be in the PMI tent tomorrow morning, so you can come join and share your thoughts there. As I mentioned, those comments are open for your feedback at mrctcenter.org. And we're also looking forward to convening more groups around this topic later this year. Thank you very much.